Hey, welcome back. My name is Nico from the band Whorticulture, and today we're going to go into the lyrics for our recent song, Cut Myself. Let's discuss.
Just to know I am alive. I cut myself to remember I can feel. I cut myself.
All right, so I've got my lyric notebook right over here, which is all super overlit, just the way I like it. Looks like 90s music videos. So we're gonna go through two different versions I have. This is the rough version, and again, I know you can't see that because it's all overlit. So thank you, LED panel. And this is where I started to extract meaning from it and create words and phrases that I would eventually write the lyrics from. And this is a technique that I've used on all of the songs during this initial writing phase, and I'm assuming I'll probably continue using them because so far it's proved to be really helpful. It's made lyric writing easier for me. And again, I have a video about this a little further back on the channel about using what I call word clouds. And people might have different names for them, but I'll explain a little bit about what I did and how it works, because I think that's an interesting part of the process. And if you write lyrics yourself and you ever struggle with them, maybe this technique will help you out as well. And then we're gonna go to the more finished version. And again, I know you can't see that because of lighting, but and talk a little bit more about sort of the meaning of the song itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and start here with this rough version. I don't know why, I keep holding this up for you like you can see it. I'll just hope that, you know, who knows, maybe I can correct it and post a little bit at an angle. So what I usually do is I'll start with a few lines or a few bullet points about kind of where I want to go with this song. It's a general direction, a general goal that I want to head in for this song. What is this song about in general? Because that's going to help me with everything else that's blurred out and whited out in here to extract meaning and create actual literal sentences and lyric lines from. As I've mentioned before, in the music writing process, I will write what I call sort of placeholder lyrics, placeholder vocals, just to get the vocal line in there so I can hear what the vocals are going to sound like. But to do that, I will do one of two things. I will either say nonsense words or I will pick random words. And I tend to lean toward random words because often I will get lucky by picking a random word at the time. I'm putting my headphones on, I'm about to sing in the mic, and I'm like, okay, I know what the melody is, but something. And because I'm already in that emotional space of the song, random words will come to me that maybe aren't so random after all, that actually feel good when I sing them. So the syllables and the consonants and the vowel tones all sound good to me, at least. Hopefully to you as well, but oh well. And the words actually fit the emotional tone of the song. And as I said, I get lucky sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I completely change them. Where some of the phrases and some of the word choices I have, I go, yeah, I actually really like that. That feels like it works with the song. And I believe Benefits of Torture was one. I talked about that, and I have a video about the lyrics of that a little further back. Same idea, where I just came up with that line, and I was like, well, that's kind of neat. And in this situation, I knew, or thought I knew, at least a placeholder, was the phrase cut myself on the chorus. I cut myself, da 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 da. I think the original line ended in something, something, some today. The word today was in there. But I wasn't married to that because legally I can't do that yet. But someday I'll get married to a word. So yeah, I already had that. So I already started, that was already the working title of the song. I keep doing this, you can't see. It was already the working title of the song, was Cut Myself. Now, what I've written down beneath this is a suggestion or an option, like maybe it's hurt myself. I hurt myself, da da da. I wrote it down anyway, and of course, the more I thought about it, I was like, that sounds too similar to Nine Inch Nails' Hurt. I hurt myself today. Like, and I didn't mean that reaction to be like, I don't like that song or that's a bad song. I used to be a huge Nine Inch Nails fan when I was younger, back in high school, man, tell you what. But I was like, let's let's stick with cut myself for now, unless something changes in the lyrics and I go, oh, actually I want to say something different. My initial reaction to that title was that, is it a little bit too, you know, does it try too hard to be edgy? You know, cut myself. It's a very violent sounding. There's a lot of harsh syllables in cut. So I didn't know if it would be interpreted as being, you know, does it try too hard? But for me, and once we get into the meaning of it, it just felt right. I felt like that was the right thing to say for the song. You know, whatever that means. For me, it felt like the right thing. So I was just trying to soften it first. And I was like, no, don't soften it. Just go with it. If it feels right, do it. So to get to the point where I'm extracting meaning, as I had mentioned before, I like to have sort of a direction for this. And so I wrote down a couple of bullet points in addition to maybe it's hurt instead. And I said, no, I wrote feeling numb to emotions and life, which is sort of the general gist of where this song goes. And I wrote things like cutting oneself to simply feel alive or experience something. And that's a very bullet point way of saying something, but you can already see that there are phrases and there's word choices in there just by talking in sort of a normal, it's about this. Already you can see there's little words and phrases that were coming out that ended up in the final lyrics. So sometimes you can surprise yourself by just saying something very matter of fact, like it's about this, and kind of feeling this way, that you might go, oh, I actually like that word. So I took that, and then yes, we have this word cloud that I call it, where I just vomit a bunch of words, nouns, adjectives, verbs, descriptive phrases like experiential type things, sensory perception things, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, phrases, anything that comes to mind, and then I don't judge them. If you are gonna try this, I recommend do not judge this stuff, just puke it onto the page, literally and metaphorically. Okay, more metaphorically, fine. I'll save you the cleanup. And yeah, don't judge it. Don't worry if it's going to be good or not yet. Who cares? This is just getting your basic Lego building blocks, if you will, that you can assemble later into full sentences and into your finished lyrics. So yeah, take your editor hat off, or I take mine off, and I just start writing things that come to mind. And one of the words I said before is feeling numb to emotion. So I start with that, because to me that felt like the key word for this song. Numb, numbness, wanting to feel alive, feeling like a shell, empty, wanting to experience anything. Pain makes things real. So again, phrases that just came to my head. That's a thing. Living in my head, touch, body, sensation, experience, physical, emotion, simulation, stimulation, response, disconnected, apart, separate, distance. And I put anxiety, which I realized later, like that doesn't work with this song, because the song, anxiety is, you experience that. That's a heightened emotion. Whereas this is about not having that. The opposite, really. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I have even stuff like observer, feels like a dream, floating, brain in a jar, the old philosophical thought experiment. Nothingness, timelessness, like not even being connected to the flow of time, like days blur together, weeks blur together. Waking up, pain, sometimes I forget that I'm a human, / alive, / awake, / real, and imaginary. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Some of that I ended up using, some of it I didn't. And then below that, yes, I know, you can't see, started to construct sentences. I usually start with the chorus, because to me the chorus tends to say the summary, if you will, of what the entire song is about, and I tend to treat the verses as more specific examples of the concept of the song, of what I'm actually saying in the chorus. So I usually knock out choruses first. Knockout, that's funny. Makes it sound like, yeah, whatever, fucking knock those stupid choruses out like I don't give a shit. No, I care. I do. Even though that sentence didn't make it sound like I do. No, I try to get those done first, because that gives me a better picture of where I'm gonna go with more specific writing in any sort of verse or pre-chorus or bridge or anything that's gonna be in that song. So as you can see, already starting to assemble stuff for the chorus. As I told you, I already had the phrase cut myself, and I did play with options, but it was kind of like, nah, we'll keep cut myself. And some of the initial versions were, I cut myself to feel something today. Again, similar, but didn't really like the way that ended. So I changed it. You can see already crossing that out. No, you can't see that. I'm just, again, take my word for it. I'm writing, I cut myself just to know I was alive. Well, let's change from past tense, didn't like that apparently, and went M. So I started already playing with different ideas here and the pre-chorus and all that, starting to assemble things. So let's move over. Let's. To the more extracted or more finished version of Cut Myself. And this visual aid is shit for you. It's absolute shit. So even in this finished version, can I get anything in there? No. Even in this finished version, I'm already crossing out stuff. Maybe you can see at least some crossing out of things. You know, over here and over here and over here. Changing words, changing phrases. Already changing these things. But yeah, so going through this, I always intended Cut Myself to be both literal and metaphorical. The literal one's easy, right? As I was talking about before, is that phrase too edgy? Is that try too hard to cut myself and violent and self-harm? You know, I just thought it was honest. And that's one thing I wanted to do my best to convey with this. Again, as I always say, whether or not I achieved that goal is up to you. But I wanted to be more honest and vulnerable and sort of naked with this idea of being in this different state of depression. And maybe you've experienced this. I've been in this state many times throughout my life. There is the more sad version of depression where you are intensely feeling sad emotions, down emotions. You're feeling helpless and hopeless and you feel those things, right? And you're just like, oh God, everything's horrible. Ooh. And it's more mopey and it's more mourning. That is a more intense and more emotional version of depression. But there is also this numb version of depression that I've been in many times. And I said, maybe you've experienced this too. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Where you just feel disconnected from everything. You're like, it's like your emotions shut off. I don't feel pleasure. I don't feel pain exactly. I just, like the phrases I use, I just feel like I'm kind of floating through life. I'm just kind of aimlessly going through the motions. Sun comes up, wake up. I guess I just do the normal stuff with my day. Don't really care. Even the stuff I used to love, and you won't be surprised to hear this, but I love writing music and performing music and all this stuff. That's what I've been doing since I was 5. It's part of my identity. It gives me a sense of purpose and meaning. It's everything to me. And I can be totally disconnected from that process too, where I don't even want to work on anything. I don't care. It feels pointless. I go, why am I even doing this? It doesn't give me any sense of reward. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel anything. It's like, who cares? Indifference, numbness, right? That's why so much of this song deals with imagery like that, deals with almost dreamlike imagery. There was also a sort of almost like a drug haze example. They use lines like being on morphine, things like that, where it's adding to this feeling of disconnection, adding to this feeling of not being attached to reality and to the day-to-day life and your own thoughts, your own feelings, being a human being, being a physical body. And that's where this idea of Cut Myself comes from. This desire to feel something, to feel anything really. And a lot of times we will resort to some form of self-harm just to sort of bring us back into the present tense, to make us feel again, to make us feel like we're alive, and take us out of this weird, numb, floaty thing that this sort of indifferent version of depression can send us into. I was never a cutter when I was younger, or even now. I never was. So for me, the title is not literal, it's metaphorical. I would find other more emotional or mental ways to feel pain, to, again, remind myself that I exist and that I'm alive, and to experience something. But I have people that are very close to me, family, friends, that were cutters physically, that would harm themselves when they felt this way. And so part of it is an allusion to their experiences, a reference to their experiences, and part of it's a reference naturally to my own. And the sentiment of cutting oneself, or at least self-harm, is, I think, relevant and applicable to all forms, whether physical, mental, or emotional, how we hurt ourselves to just try to experience and to feel like you exist again. So, yeah, it's funny, even like it just, I don't know, it's like just talking about it, like, I mean, you probably can see my body language starts going down, and I just, because I'm in trying to talk about this to you right now, I'm putting myself back in the headspace of where I was when I was younger, or, you know, years ago, or moments in my life where I have experienced this, or remembering what other people have gone through. And it sort of brings it back up again. And as much as I want to just, you know, make a joke and be funny and try to be entertaining and stuff, assuming I ever do that, it's hard when I'm feeling this. like I can feel a light version of all these things right now just by sort of putting myself in that place, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good, I think, as a creative person, to try to tap into that if that's what you want to write. But it sucks when it's like, I don't want to tap into it. Like, I don't want to feel that right now. I don't want to feel this. I wanted to feel it to write it, but I don't want to feel it now. I would like to enjoy the rest of my day. I'd like to do some fun things and enjoy myself. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. I'm gonna go do something else that is hopefully a little more uplifting than talking about depression and disconnection from life and existence. So hopefully you can go do something that is a little more uplifting as well after this. Go have some fun. Go outside. Go do something enjoyable, please. I encourage you. But anyway, thanks for sitting with me and hearing some of this stuff. I do enjoy talking about it, even if it can be kind of heavy subject matter sometimes. So thanks again. I am Nico from the band Whorticulture, and we will talk again soon. Bye.